Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Pit Against, a live Flesh and Blood call-in show. I'm joined by my constant co-host, Kevin Smurf Murphy. Kevin, what's up?
I'm going to Amsterdam.
You're going to Amsterdam! Oh my gosh. That's the first ProQuest that I had heard of friends going to. I don't know if that's day one of like ProQuest season, but it feels pretty quick that you just picked that up.
Yes, it was day one.
Holy frick. Day one, undefeated. On Azalea.
On Pribum.
Pribum, of course. Pit Against is a live call-in show. If you'd like to be on air talking to us about your take, join the Pit Against Discord by clicking on the link that's in the description and we put in chat. Then join the waiting room channel and put your hot take in the topics channel and we'll pull you in for a mic check. Briefly, tell me more about that. So you played Prism. You went 1 billion and 0.
Yeah.
Like briefly, how did the day go?
It was interesting. It was fun. The deck is degenerate. I looped 4 people.
4 people? What happens? Okay,
Yeah.
I got a question after this, but go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. First round I played Fi. He didn't know what Prism did. So I got there. Then I played against Missouri, who didn't know what Prism did. So I got there.
That's how it goes.
That one required me to go to 1 with a Blood Rot and giving up Footsteps. To send back an Herald of Erudition for 7 without Phantasm, to draw 2, to flip Shariah, to draw 2, to play a Tome, to play ALS.
What a turn.
Yeah, I took that game over from there. Round 3 was actually streamed. And I looped a Victor in about 4 turns.
It was streamed? I didn't see it. Who's covering it? Just whoever was local, or
it was just a local store.
That's sick. I need to find that out.
I can send you the link after this.
Yeah, send me a link after.
Round 4, I looped a Dromai who thought that Chromai broke ALS loop. It does not. It does not resolve as attacking because Spectra.
Yep.
And therefore Chromai does not gain the action point back.
Yep.
Then I looped that Dromai game was silly because it was a double Genesis loop, so I get 2 cards in Soul every turn, which means I get to use Archangel of War every turn.
See, I didn't know about the Chromai interaction until I was watching, it wasn't Pro Tour, it was one of the Battle Hard. It was Phuket. And I had audio off because I was doing some chores or something, or maybe I had audio on and I just wasn't listening. And I was in my head, I was like, I don't understand how Prism ever wins against Dromai. They just have Chromai. And then I got it in my head. I was like, wait, how exactly does the interaction work? And then I looked it up and I was like, no way that works. And then I watch it on stream and I'm like, okay, confirmed.
And
it doesn't
Dromai
work how. Yeah.
Yeah. And Dromai thought it worked that way. Yeah. So that was that. I got to swing for 20 on my last turn and play an ALS.
Prism good. I'm going to have to watch somebody play some more, like some good quality Prism, just so I can get a feel for how it looks.
Rhea Adams. Just her.
She streams it, right?
She posts a fair amount of her stuff.
Okay.
If you want to look at ALS loop stuff, there's one from a couple weeks ago where she played like 4 or 5 games against Adori, and I think won every single game with a couple different iterations of looping.
Yeah.
Round 5, I played against a Victor. He had Time Snap, and he got it out on like turn 4. I set up my first board. He broke it completely, killing Genesis, ALS, and Shariah. I then... he hit a Merciful Retribution when I was at 1 health, which allowed me to remake a board and set up loop on the next turn. He was at 49.
No. All right.
I was at 1, and I won that game. I decked him out. Then I played a Kano.
Next.
You know what's really good against Kano? Herald of Erudition.
Herald of Erudition. That's even more true. Dominant. Well, I guess they can run D-Reacts now. I've heard they run D-Reacts now.
Some do. They might into Prism, honestly.
They
might try to Giga Stack Prism, but I think that probably won't work. I think that gets hard.
So much ward.
So that was my top 8 game. Top 4 was a rematch with the Azuri, and this time I looped them. They didn't know loop was a thing.
That's a bad time to find out. That's a sucky. That's a feel bad time to find out.
Yeah, he was pretty upset about that.
Yeah.
Which the deck is stupid. The ALS loop is insane. And then I played the Victor. I rematched the Victor from round 5 for the finals, and did not loop him, but still
was close.
Got the win. He never saw time snap. It was the life totals did not say it was close because I was at 23 with like 11 spectral shields, but I was actually close. It was close because I was very close to running out of just stuff in my deck.
Yeah.
I had no Genesis left. I think I had 1 ALS left, no Passing Mirage, and I like Angel double cat or like Herald Footsteps double Cataclysm Angel, and I just had to like Angel Herald Angel him like 3 turns to kill him. So it was actually fairly close, but that was 8-0 on the day, and then I went 4-2 the next day with the same deck.
Not bad.
Losing in top 8. So I was 12-2 on the weekend with Prism. Yes.
So the question I was going to have is, what happens when you loop? Let's say, like, so I assume it's not like Magic where you say, I will now demonstrate the loop. And then you
more actually,
like, does it?
Sometimes you say that.
I feel like you
effectively say that.
I feel like if you imply it too much, it could be sounding like you're asking for a concession.
Yes,
right?
Probably.
Yeah.
I did have 2 of my loops, they conceded when I had set it up.
Okay.
Because there isn't enough. They didn't have action point manipulation, so they didn't have a way to break it there.
Yeah.
And based on cards in deck, and in both cases, I think I had Figment of War out already, so I get to do that, and I get to swing for like 6 or 7 with both Angels every time. Yeah. So like I will just win that, and they both just scooped at that point. But like, so the loop itself is if you have an ALS in grave, an ALS in hand, a Genesis on board, and Avalon Archangel of Rebirth. What you do is Genesis puts a card in soul, you draw, you don't care about making the Spectral Shield. You just need light card to go in to draw the card. You have Vestige active then. So you get to swing Archangel of Rebirth, banish the card that Genesis put into soul, and that puts the ALS in your grave back on top of your deck, and you get to play the ALS from hand. So then you have another ALS to draw back up into. Genesis refills the soul. Grab ALS, play ALS.
Makes sense.
So that's like just the baseline of it. If you want a quick write-up, there's actually in Purple Chat, in the Prism channel, there's a good write-up from Ian Zhang there on some very common versions of it.
Variations.
The most common variations. It's very succinct and well written.
Awesome. We
also Rhea.
At the last armory I was at, Mara was showing people how to do it. Because there's a few people who are like, I've heard about this ALS loop thing, and I just thought ALS was when like I thought that was like the thing where you do the ice bucket challenge, and they were like, no, like, here, I'll show it to you. And then one of them,
there's some bad jokes in there about being like not able to do anything.
So we won't make those jokes. You're right. No, there was somebody who was just like, I'm building this deck now. Like, they were like, this is awesome. I'm building this deck now. Even if the loop shouldn't go off every game. Like, that's not your game. That's not like your goal.
Correct.
Necessarily. Yeah. That's not like your game plan.
Yeah.
Ruv,
yes.
I don't concede when ALS loops, but I do cry. I believe it. Dude, if they ALS loop me on Talishar, we're sitting there and playing it out. Like, I'm gonna be stubborn.
Yeah, no, like this is something that I think pretty much every Prism player will say. Anyone who's like actually like playing the deck and passionate about it will say is like, you are well within your right to make me go through the loop.
It's not like
that's 100% within your right. You do not have to concede when loop is presented.
Yeah.
Like
it's not
even
like,
if it is like mathematically deterministic or whatever.
it's not like Magic the Gathering's loop where they just announce a loop and do infinite things. You have to go through motions, and it's over the course of several turns, and your opponent is expected to like react to certain things in it. And so it's not like a traditional combo loop as you would think in card games in that sense.
Yeah.
So
I mean, like it is entirely possible, because this has happened when I was playing against Prism, where they just forget to put ALS back on top of their deck.
you not only make them like prove that they can do it, you also prove that they are capable of going through the motions and doing all their triggers correctly.
Yes.
That's 100%. That's very fair.
I literally sat down Friday night and I goldfished like 4 loops, pretending I was against Dromai.
Yeah.
To like go through the motions and like get muscle memory for everything. Where it's
especially
like,
in paper, right?
Yes. Where it's like I'm at the same time I'm grabbing a card in Soul, and I'm grabbing the ALS from graveyard, and they move at the same time.
Yep.
And that is it. Technically infinite, but often deterministic. Yes.
That is exactly what I was thinking. Ruv, you coming on the show tonight? Do you have any hot takes?
Lucas, don't do that.
Lucas should show up anyways.
He could.
So the first thing I was gonna say is tonight, to actually get into a subject, is I've been hearing a lot of people try to decipher these new spoiler cards we've gotten, and I don't mean to necessarily just go through spoilers like everyone likes to go through spoilers, but I do mean to say, like, I feel like we haven't had a card like, we definitely haven't had a card like Chi before, right? So these Chi cards or Transcend cards,
these mechanics,
with these mechanics, right? So these cards, it seems to be just a what's the word, like a line, or a like when there's a series. In card games, what do they call that? Like cycle. Cycle. There's a cycle, and there seems to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 8. I don't count.
8 plus the 3 class ones is what I'm seeing at the moment.
Yeah, so it's these mystic instances, specifically these there's 8 common rarity ones, and so these 8 common rarities ones are legendary, unless it's limited.
Legendary key, that changes.
That's so peak, honestly. Legendary keyword only for constructed. They are blue, 0 cost, 0 block, 0 attack, because they're instances. They're mystic cards that say do like subtle thing or some small thing, like your next attack gets +1, or shuffle your deck, like some I'm gonna put these value, and then I'm gonna put these into kind of 3 categories.
Tell me about them. So there's kind of 3 categories here. There's like a 0 value effect, 0 asterisk, where it is shuffle your deck, put a card from graveyard back into deck, banish a card from graveyard. These are like, they have some sort of value. Like the shuffle one, I think, is actually going to be underrated and going to be great and limited. But I think there's that group. There's the 1 value group, which is like gain 1 health, target attack gets -1, target attack gets +1, and then there's the one that gives go again. Like,
so an action point, like when it comes to
that card's going to be crazy.
That card's going to be crazy. When it comes to card value,
the difference in your limited pool, the difference in your limited pool between having one of those and having none of them is going to be night and day. And it's not going to be, you can have more than one too.
SCG Con Roanoke, I won 2 of my 6 matches off of Blink, specifically, and it's kind of like that, where it's all blue, 0 block instant. It just builds you an action point.
It is almost exactly like Blink. Blink does like slightly better stuff with Spectra, but not like it's not a huge difference. But I guess the thing that we've talked to each other about this off the show, and I think you're about ahead there, is people look at those like the 0 asterisk ones as if they have no value,
like shuffle. Stir the pot, instant, blue, cost 0, shuffle. If you've played another blue card this turn, transcend, which I didn't explain that. Transcend is you flip the card over, it now pitches for blue and red, and it'll stay flipped over for the rest of the game.
Yes.
Including if you pitch it, it'll go through your deck upside down.
Yes, it goes back into your deck as a chi card. Like, the people are looking at these effects, and it's like, well, why do I want to play these cards? And it's like, well, this is either this is just a blue pitch, and you're fine with that, or this is Heart of Fyendal.
Okay.
The shuffle ones maybe not as much. The zero asterisk ones not necessarily, but like let's look at Homage to Ancestors, the gain 1 life one. The effect is gain 1 life.
Yeah. Legendary, gain 1 life if you played another blue card, transcend.
That's just Heart of Fyendal, because you're going to play it to gain 1 life if you're getting the transcend effect, and it comes back to your hand as 3 resources. Even if you're not going to use it for chi, you're just going to use it for 3 resources, you still get the 3 resources and the life gain on playing it. If you're not going to use it for the life gain, you just pitch it for 3.
Why would you not gain the life?
If you didn't have another like blue card to play with it. If you only had a red,
because you'd have to do.
If you have a red 3 for 7.
Because there's no way you're playing this like by itself. Well, I mean, like very rarely you would gain a life and that's all you're doing. Like maybe at instant speed on your opponent's turn, they're about to kill you. You gain a life, but that feels like it sucks because you're not going to get to transcend off of it.
Sure, but like you're no blocking with it anyways. It's a no block anyways. It is Heart of Fyendal. Like this sense. Is a reskinned Heart of Fyendal.
Okay, that's a good way to look at it, and I guess we can look at the others in a similar vein, right? So it's like there's one that's like a sync effect.
Yeah, there's a sync effect.
Actually, it's the opposite. It's draw a card, then put a card on the bottom.
Yes, it's draw first, which is
that's much
than
better,
just sync.
Right?
Yes,
yeah, because options.
Getting to draw first.
Howard crept a blue sigil of solace.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, unironically, yes. Like this is a wildly power crept blue sigil.
So I'm also going to say, is Homage to Ancestors, the one that says gain a life, is that just better than Fyendal's Heart of Fyendal?
Heart of Fyendal?
Because Heart of Fyendal says if you have less life, gain a life.
Yes. This says if you've played a blue card, transcend.
True.
Because what it is actually saying is if you've played a blue card, gain 1 life.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to just play this for gain 1 life. You would just pitch it for 3 resources. So the 2 modes are pitch for 3 resources or gain a life and pitch for 3 resources.
Okay. So it's the same, but different.
It's a different condition, but yes, has its own stipulations. Life gain is not, the life gain also is not repeatable. That's also like true. Actually a really good.
That's really good point.
That's a really good point.
Yeah. So a lot of
none of those effects are repeatable.
Like the Seismic Surge Gem, the Arknight Shard, Grandeur,
Arknight Shard.
Those are all repeatable.
If Kano only got 1 Eye of Ophidia, it wouldn't come up a ton. If Plague Hive only was once,
it might be normal.
That card is it's unplayable. It's not getting played.
So crazy though.
Yeah.
The card is insane.
These are still
mindset, but still.
These are still like very good cards. You're still going to play at least 3 of them or 4 of them or 5 of them in your limited deck.
They're probably getting picked before the second cycle of packs getting passed around, right? I assume.
Oh, they're never wheeling.
They're never wheeling?
You're never going to table.
They're commons.
Yeah, you're never going to table one. You want to know how you stay open in this format?
You pick Mystic.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that's true.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. You pick the ones that work with like anything. A couple of these are kind of signposty cards. The Banish card from opposing graveyard is going to be a new card.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Target attack gets go again. Might be a little signposty, but not like crazy.
Target attack gets -1.
Target attack gets -1 is going to be interesting. I think that's it. We haven't seen any Phantasm yet for Illusionist, but I would guess it's still there.
It reminds me of
happy with.
what was the light card that gave attacks -1 in
Blinding
Monarch?
Beam.
Blinding Beam. I ran Blinding Beam blue.
Yeah,
I would take those sometimes.
I mean, like and we also just have Celestial Reprimand now, which does the same thing.
Ooh. Oh yeah. In my Monarch draft, I didn't have that card though. I don't think I ever drafted it.
But yeah, like, I think people are misevaluating these cards. Aren't going to wheel depending on the rest of the set. These are probably worth considering pack one, pick one around 3 through 5. Yes. So like some people have theorized also because there's some really interesting stuff that's happening with sealed in this format because they're 8 packs now instead of 6.
Probably a good thing.
And at Nats, team sealed, which has traditionally been 8 packs, is an entire box.
Whoa! Wait, like a 3-person team?
Uh-huh.
Whoa! Whoa! I kind of love that. I kind of love that. Holy frick. Team sealed is so expensive. Oh my gosh. It's a whole box?
It's only slightly more expensive than it was for 8-pack, actually.
Jeez.
So, like, one of the theories that Mara and I had is that there's just going to be a slot in each pack that has one of these. Just outright.
They'll have like a couple of generic slots, a couple of mystic slots, one of these transcend slots.
Yep.
Equipment slot. However it goes.
So you need a certain number of them in your sealed pool.
That makes sense.
So if you have 8 for solo sealed, 24 for team sealed, it's an entire box.
That's a lot.
Those decks, I think, I don't remember where I heard this, but I think they're capping limited decks at 30 cards for this set.
That sounds right. I swore I heard that somewhere. Lucas can tell us, right? Because he's got it all.
Equipment, rare slots, foil, probably. Yeah, like that's, I think, where we're at, Lucas. About 30 card limits. So these decks are going to be crazy. These are going to be the most powerful limited decks we've seen, potentially. Like,
which is great. Which is good.
But it's also going to be entirely synergy based. You don't just get bombs like Cast Bones. Like, all of these cards are like, if you've played a blue card this turn, if you've transcended this turn. Like, I'm so excited to see what this set looks like. And I think people are underestimating it.
I kind of feel the opposite, or I felt the opposite for a while, right? Because it was Brian Gottlieb and everybody showing up on podcasts who were just like, everyone was talking about heavy hitters being the best draft set, and the whole time we had to just like smile and nod our heads, thinking in the back of our minds, no, it's not. We're playing part of this veil behind us.
Just you wait.
Behind you, and it's great.
They want to flip the narrative about slow, weak, limited formats? Yeah. Like, these pre-releases are going to be bonkers.
Okay, I have a question then. Well, I have a couple of questions. I always have questions.
Yeah. The block value of this set is trash so far, by the way.
The block value. Let's see. Let me count how much block is going on right now. We got.
It's like average 1.2 or some shit.
Currently, we have 4, 5, 6 cards that block for 2. 2 chakras block for 3. One of them doesn't block. And then Battlefront Bastion only blocks for 2.
The one that doesn't block is a prevent 3.
Oh yes, it is. I forgot what it is.
Because I'm gonna let that one.
That counts.
Have it, yeah.
So I had this question really early on when we just saw the heroes for the first time. I was wondering to myself, what value are we gonna ascribe to chi, right? Like, how much is a single pip of chi worth, and how much should we be willing to put into to get a single point of chi? Now that we know that you transcend, you get a whole hecking 3. Yeah, you get a whole 3. You might as well just attribute a single pip of chi to a single resource. Like, is it roughly 1-to-1? What would you say?
It is at least 1-to-1, and I'm pretty sure it is somewhere closer to 4-to-3. 4 red to 3 chi.
Oh wow. Okay. Interesting.
It depends. It depends heavily on what combo cards Ninja has.
Well, I mean, is it 4-3 in the same instance that like Bravo's Hammer is 4-3 in the sense where it's like you're expected to get a little more value out of this because you have to put in more to get it? Okay.
Yes.
Well, I guess you don't have to put in more to get it for the Bravo's Hammer, but what you lose by swinging Bravo's Hammer is an action point. So that's where you get the one. Anyways, yes, you're converting it.
There is so much that depends on what the illusionist weapon is at the moment for me. Like that is going to define the set.
Dude, if this is a Spectra's, I know it's all like a blue matters set kind of, but if this is a Spectra matters hero,
so
I really want that actually. I really want like I'm a Guardian main because here's what I want to do. I want to answer every question everyone ever has.
Yep.
And just in the game barely above them. And so I'm not exactly a Guardian main in that sense, like Lucas.
You're a control player.
So I'm a control player. And man, Spectra matters as an archetype sounds like the dopest thing. As long as I don't have to learn too much because I can't take the time to go pro right now.
So I don't think it will be specifically Spectra matters. And I say that because the Mystic Illusionist Transcend card, that instant, you get the 3 modes of Transcend, create 2 Spectral Shields, and put a +1 counter on each aura with ward you control.
You think it's just ward banners?
That's what that leans towards. Spectral Shields also being the ability, 1, Enigma's passive ability for a Spectral Shield attack each turn costs 1 red less to activate. And then once per turn instant, 3 chi, create a Spectral Shield token with a +1 counter on it. So
I think it's going to be I think they're just going to reprint Iris, but it costs 4 and it swings for more.
I think they actually will be closer to a 1-for-2. Your like first, your ward.
1? Like it costs 1, but then it also just costs 1 less because of the hero ability.
The first one does, but I think it limits the number of attacks that have go again. The same way that Redo Minaris does.
Well, like a 1-for-3?
It might be a 1-for-3. Your first one gets go again.
Feels
but then
really
all
strong.
after don't. It might be 2-for-3.
Really strong.
Actually, 2-for-3 curves way better.
2-for-3 with go again, where the condition is you have to have a Spectral Shield, which is kind of a big condition, and then also it's only the first one or something like that.
The first one, which that's still very above rate. You're swinging with a blue for 6 damage, 7 damage, something like that. Because so far everything that makes Spectral Shields for her also gives them +1 counters.
True.
But if your first one costs 1 less, that means your first one costs 1 and your second one costs 2, which is a clean 3, and fits into a blue matters illusionist very well. I guess so it might be like, it might be 2-for-2 base.
I can see that.
That would be a little bit cleaner and not nearly as broken, because if you're just converting a blue into 6 damage every turn and you just block 9 and say, if you don't break my Spectral Shields, I'm just going to kill you with them.
Yeah, I feel like at this point we're just speculating, but
yeah, like this is hard speculation, but like everything in her kit cares about ward. I think she's still going to run stuff like Shimmers. You get to attack with an aura and it puts a +1 counter on it. Yeah, I'll do that. But I don't know. I'm very excited about this set. It's going to be very synergy based. And I think that might be another reason for the larger card pools, so that you can actually fill out some of those synergies better in limited. And at the same time, you have the same number of packs in draft. It's going to be so intense. If there's just like 24, packs? It's 3-pack draft.
Okay.
If you have only 24 of those Mystic instants at the table for an entire pod, for 8 people, you better take them quick.
I actually hope there's like archetypes where you just ignore it. Like I hope there's.
I don't think you can. There's no way you can. Dude, Zen's hero ability is insane.
It's so good.
Like, it is literally +1 card.
Hurry back, Lucas.
Like, it's such a bonkers ability. Like, if he just... Because it's just... He just has an extra card on that turn, basically.
Someone was talking about, and I forget who, was saying that it's got to be worse than Katsu because... what was their reasoning?
Because you don't have to hit?
I forgot why they said it was worse, honestly. But there's no way it is because it's just +1 card instead of neutral 1 card. And
I mean, I guess it's not truly...
have to hit. You just have to play a blue card, which is kind of awkward.
It's not truly +1 card, I guess, because, like, you're still pitching. You have to play the card. You have to pitch a chi to it, so you replace your chi card.
I guess that is true.
So I guess it's not +1 card anymore. I thought it was +1 card before we knew what chi was and how it was made. But like, it's still so good because you just get the Crouching Tiger and you get the card that cares about the Crouching Tiger, and then you're just gonna kill him. It's interesting. Like, you're doing like 3-card 11s, 3-card 12s, like just every time. Like, it might be like 13 even with the Transcend effect. Like,
I think the hero I have the most questions about is New. Like, until we see almost her entire card pool, I feel like we'll have no idea what she's doing.
Right? Not just hers, but everyone else's too.
Yeah, like, it's like...
She's also dependent on what cards she can steal.
True, yeah, also. Yeah, her whole kit seems weird, right? Just in the fact that her specialization is just like one of the, big modes that you can have on the little... it's not a specialization. Yeah. The Sacred Art is banish 2 cards from an opposing hero's graveyard. And it's like, how good is that? Those better be some
good cards.
Yeah, those better be some great cards. Like, how good is that?
I will say that is akin... That's not like quite draw 2, but as long as you're getting the Transcend on this one, and it just comes back to hand as your chi, and then you just get to pitch it to New's ability, and then those cards are available without red cost.
Play blue cards without paying their cost. I guess if, like, let's say you're playing against Sin and they have Go Again innate, you could just play both of them out and other things from hand or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's still very weird.
Yes, we don't have enough info on Zen because we don't know what his combo cards are in the set. We don't have enough info on
the new
Enigma
ninja
because
cards
we don't
are
know
weird.
What
they don't have any Go Again or conditional Go Again or like anything like these are all turn ender cards, right? Droplet. What do you mean?
Those aren't ninja.
Or those just Mystic? I thought they were.
Those are just Mystic.
I thought they were all ninja.
No.
Okay, so they're this set's generic.
Those are elemental.
Those are elemental. Yeah. This is like the elemental wizard.
Yeah.
Arcane attacks.
Right? Yeah. No, those are not ninja.
Dude, I just saw the. Mysteria background and just completely forgot.
Yeah. Except it's
that they're all from Mysteria.
It's not quite Mysteria.
Oh, is it?
It's a slightly different color, I think.
Oh, I'm looking at it and I'm looking at.
It's the same pattern. It looks like it's it looks like it's a slightly different color, but that might just be the pictures.
It might just
that I'm looking at.
Be the pictures. It might just be the pictures. Yeah, I think it might be the pictures. Maybe it's a little deeper in color, but I think it's just the pictures. Like if you look at Adult Zen and you look at, well, any of them. I think the Young Zen, for some reason, it looks lighter. Anyways, that's besides the point. Okay, so the other question I had on these cards, Stir the Pot.
Yeah.
Mystic Instant, Legendary Shuffle. If you played another blue card, Transcend. Is that just negative value?
No.
you're shuffling your deck, your pitch stacked deck. Like one of the big things about Flesh and Blood is you get to like predetermine your second cycle.
You're shuffling that chi you just put on the bottom of your deck last turn, at least on average halfway closer to the top of your deck, so that you can use it sooner.
That's a good point. That's a fair point.
That's very important for Zen, because you don't want to just have your chi in second cycle waiting, because you've burned through a lot of your combo cards by then.
Yeah.
I think this is actually like a staple for Zen
I guess that is like a thing. Like, so we talked, there was conversations of like one of the benefits of Minnowism in Phi was that it would shuffle your deck and you could not just have this stack of blue at the bottom. It's almost as if you
100%.
can restart your first cycle. It's a little more blue heavy because you played some red cards.
But it's not the same.
But it's not the same. It's like, it's not just a stack of blue. If you hit two blues,
especially since like you're pulling one of your blues out of your deck and then putting it at the bottom again.
True. Like, yeah, true. Because you're going to specifically pull a Minnowism out to pitch.
Like it was relevant. That's good. It was 100% relevant. So like I think Stir the Pot's going to be slept on a little bit, especially in limited for Zen.
I got too much Guardian Brain going on.
Yeah. Zen does get to shuffle from his hero ability, but getting that first chi back towards the top of the deck as soon as possible is like definitely an upside. It's not nothing if on average you're going to hit it 4 turns sooner.
That's kind of crazy.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. Dude, okay, so here's another question. Are these limited formats? We don't know all the other cards, but we do know that we're working with Illusionist, a class that is known to have a lot of not heavy blocking cards. Ninja, the same way.
Sure.
Are these limited games just going to be blowouts? Okay, are these limited games going to be like you just catch somebody off guard on like turn 4 and then they're just dead?
Turn 4, probably. I think these are going to be some of the fastest, but still some of the most intricate limited games we've ever seen. Like Heavy Hitters is not an intricate limited format. It's not.
Yes. Yeah, you're right.
I think this is going to be the opposite end of the spectrum. So
it's interesting, right? Because like the shorter a game, the heavier the impact each decision you have makes, right?
Yes.
Like I've heard some Phi main or whatever say like, we make the most important decisions in Flesh and Blood. Well, yes, you only play 2 turns of a game.
Yeah,
so
because
all of your
you make 2 choices.
Yeah, you make 2 choices.
Some games you make 0.
You're right. And then like, you know, some people talk about like Guardian Mirrors or like Illusionist matchups where they're just like you make a billion decisions and they all get hidden amongst each other, but they add up over time. And so it's interesting trying to say whether I'm very interested to see if super fast gameplay ends up making people feel like they didn't have enough agency to win a game by being better.
I don't think that'll be the case in this set.
Okay.
Because Uprising was a fairly fast limited format, from my understanding. I didn't get to play a ton of it.
Yeah.
There also weren't a ton of choices in that one.
No. Some people sat down in the draft circle and stopped making choices.
Yes. They made their choices.
They made their choice, and that was it.
I think this will be the opposite. I think this will be like like Heavy Hitters like tested your fundamentals. Bright Lights tested your ability to win games.
That's true. Yep.
I think this will test your deck building and your like
drafting,
not improv, but like your drafting a little bit. I think this will like test your ability to like go to that next level where like it's not Heavy Hitters. Heavy Hitters is pure fundamentals. This is going to have like you have to have good fundamentals for this set, and you have to be able to push boundaries.
Next question, is Flesh and Blood too hard? It's not too hard. I can answer that question. But at the same time, it's like I know people.
Is it too hard for its own good?
Like, I know people who struggled in the heavy hitters limited format, and they were just like, man, it's just turn over turn. I feel like I'm never making the right choice because it's testing fundamentals in some aspects, and they didn't necessarily have the fundamentals to
do well in that format.
To do well enough in it, because that's specifically what the format was testing. Yeah. This set's going to be like, okay, you need to have a sense of fundamentals, but you also need to be able to like work that into a cohesive game plan. How does that work into synergy? When do you ignore fundamentals to do something even better that may not be immediately apparent?
When do I sacrifice a point of value to shuffle my deck?
Exactly, right? So for people who are already struggling with fundamentals, do you feel like this is going to be an even bigger struggle?
To a degree, but I think this is also going to introduce its own kind of fun because they just get to do weird, powerful stuff.
There are some people who are just like, I could do the on-rate thing, or I could just do the funny thing.
Or I can roll scabs.
What's up, Sid? UPF rules PvE sucks. Those are my hot takes. I don't think they're very hot.
Those are not super hot takes.
PvE is not my favorite format by any stretch. UPF, I feel like, is only getting better. Every single set, it just gets better. It has to. Dude.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good. I'm going to make a cube of heavy hitters so that I can just PvE heavy hitters cube, or not PvE. I can UPF heavy hitters cubed for the rest of my life.
Sure.
It's going to be great.
Yeah. I don't know. This set I'm super excited for. I just... Yeah. It's going to be really cool. I'm going to be visiting friends during Tokyo World Premiere.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, you're going to Tokyo. You're going to Amsterdam. You're going to Tokyo.
I'm not going to Tokyo.
Oh, not going to Tokyo. Oh, my God.
I'm going to Osaka, which is Worlds.
Yes, of course. I get them mixed up.
But I will be hanging out with friends that weekend for Tokyo when they premiere this set. And I'm teaching them how to play Flesh and Blood with heavy hitter stuff. And I'm going to be looking at all these cards and I'll be like, what the frick? And they're like, I don't know what that card does. I'm like, I don't either.
Oh, man.
And it's going to be, I'm so excited for this set. I want to see like the Mystic Tome get broken because that'll be insane.
That card's so crazy.
It's not, I don't know that it's actually like super good yet.
Dude.
But I think it's going to be, there's a couple things that have to happen for it to become super powerful.
Okay. So let's read. I'm going to read the card real quick. So it's a 4-cost legendary Mystic Instant. Draw 2 cards. If Chi was pitched to play this, draw 3 cards. Cost 4.
Yes.
What were you freaking out about?
What if there's a vestige of soul for Chi?
No, I don't think there is.
I don't think there is, but like that's how this card gets busted.
What if? Hear me out. This is even worse. Fyendal Spring Tunic for Chi.
How many turns does it take to?
3.
Yeah. 3 turns?
3 turns.
I mean, I guess like it's fundamentally the same as Tunic.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Because so far we have nothing that uses a single point of Chi.
And if we don't have one, I think that leans into it even harder. Like if we don't have something that uses exactly 1 Chi, then it's just either a Tunic reprint with a buff, technically. Or like, let's say it's Tunic reprint, but or not Tunic reprint. It says generate 1 Chi. This cannot be used for red mana, red pitch.
It would do nothing.
Oh, I guess it would do nothing, wouldn't it? Never mind.
Right now, that does nothing.
Because literally, the Mystic Tenants is also red, obviously.
Yeah.
It would be neat to see a card where the cost is blue instead of red.
Yeah.
Like the color around it is blue. That would be sick and hard to see.
It would have to have a block value. It wouldn't be able to be an instant.
Okay, numbers-wise, Mystic Tenants, let's say you do pitch chi for it, right? So you are pitching 2 cards and playing a card. That's 3 cards, but you are up 2 pitch and you get 3 random cards. That has to be good, right?
You're effectively up 2 pitch.
You're up 2 pitch, but you do have the randomness of whatever 3 cards you get off the top of your deck.
Presumably random, yes. So this is a blue, which makes it very easy to pitch back around to pitch stack if you're not shuffling. So if you have this, you may not want Stir the Pot.
These things are what I love about draft, is where you're like, they technically work together, fine, but under specific circumstances, you might consider this over this. And I love that about draft. I'm also excited to go back to a draft set where everyone's sharing the same talent.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess technically that happened in heavy hitters if the talent is generic, but like still,
not the same.
I enjoy it when like the heroes have some common ground in their generic talents.
Bright Lights was one of was like the most interesting draft out of Flesh and Blood. The gameplay was not super interesting.
It was fine.
It was fine. But the draft process was super good.
As Mara and I have debated, I think what Crack Shuffle Play is great if you choose your opponent's hero and weapon. Or you have to...
their pool?
No.
Oh.
So like what I did once was we both bought a pack, handed it to each other, and then I would say Max, and you have to use the wrench, and they're like, well, you would have to play Dash with her pistol, and I'm like, okay, and then we crack it open, and both of us have the most bomb Teklo pool.
I mean, like, that is more interesting than just the inevitable Teklo mirrors that come from competitive players.
We've also done Crack Shuffle play where we both said Teklo, and then it's like, well, that's interesting. It's interesting in a different way because, like,
sort of,
yeah.
There's your guardian mirror.
Yeah. Sometimes that happens. I like it. But
yeah, I'm excited for this set. I think people don't quite. I think we don't understand the set, but I think other people are also missing things and misevaluating stuff. So,
I mean, I feel like. Yeah, I'll gloat. I feel like I'm understanding the set for as much as they've given us.
Yes. Yeah.
Some people are just like, I don't get it, and so they're not going to think about it. And I feel like I'm like still trying to think it through pretty well. Which one of the things that I'm thinking through that I think might just be garbage unless we see more is Big Blue Sky. It's a Mystic Defense reaction that blocks 2. It's a blue. It costs 0, and it says this gets +1 defense for each blue card you pitch this turn. How many blue cards are you pitching on your opponent's turn? Like, really?
This doesn't say this gets +1 for each blue card in your pitch zone.
For each blue card you've pitched this turn.
It checks on resolution. It's not a continuous check from the way it's worded.
But it's still like continuously checking the whole, the amount of the whole of blues you've pitched this turn.
It's not. I don't think it's continuously doing it.
+1 for each.
Otherwise, it would say this gets +1 for each.
I see what you mean now. I see what you mean. I thought you were like saying like if you have 3 blues in your pitch zone, that doesn't count once you play this card. It's once you play this card, it's not thinking about it anymore.
It checks on resolution, and that's its value.
How many blue cards are you pitching?
I don't know.
In this draft format.
I don't know. Does Chi count as a blue card?
I'm gonna.
I don't know.
Well, let's look at Chi.
I don't know. Do we have?
Chi's a blue card. It's got a blue stripe at the top.
It has a blue strip at the top. I didn't remember. I wasn't sure.
No, I mean it's a valid question. That these are questions that need to be answered and need to be thought through, and I think it's valid. Also, a part of me really likes the inner Chi art without the Chi symbols on it, like just the swirl. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah,
that's unrelated. Is Visit the Golden Anvil any good or not?
Yes.
It is good.
It's not game breaking, but it's good.
Okay, well that's not what I'm looking for here. I'm looking for free wins.
So it depends on how they do the equipment rules a little bit.
Okay.
Because if
are legendary pieces of equipment legendary? You can only have one of these in the sideboard.
So I think that's the way it works for Taylor, right?
You would think I'd know, but I don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it depends a little bit on that.
Sid might know. Sid, do you know?
Yeah.
He'll get back if he knows.
Because if you can run 3 prize Galeas, then this card gets way better.
That card's not legendary. It's just specialization.
It is. But again, it depends on whether or not you can run more than one equipment, because I think they had to make an exception for adaptive plating.
Well, let me look that up then.
Actually, yeah.
Visit Goldmane Estate is already...
it's a great card. It's going to be an auto include, I think, in most Victor lists. People, I think, one, are missing that the shield counts as a gold. And 2, they're missing that this says draw a card on it.
It do. Create a gold token.
Trigger Victor. Make a gold.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
Because the first time we had people in our group who were like, this is just like fine if it's online and it's a blue block 3. It's like,
dude, I forgot about that. I need to play more
because because they were like, it's like a blue block. It's like a blue 0 for 3. Like, I guess if it's online, I'm like, no, this also says draw a card, and they're like, oh, I get it now.
Yes.
I get it now.
It replaces itself. It only costs 1. It has go again. It makes a gold token. It might make a might token.
It is net. So if you have a single gold to start the turn and you have the shield, you make 3 mites and it's online. You only need to win 1 test of strength or 1 trounce, and this is cracked. It's like a blue 1 for 6 go again.
So what does Betsy say? Visit the pits?
It would be visit the arena.
Oh, yeah.
And it would probably actually just be make a might, vigor, and gold.
I could see that.
That might be... It probably...
But I think it has to say something about gold you already have, because that's like part of both of these cards.
It is part of both of these.
Think about the gold you already have. Make a might and vigor for each gold you have. Make a gold.
If you control... Yes.
Make a gold. If you have gold, make a might and a vigor for each.
Make a might or vigor of your choice. Repeat for each gold you have.
Go again.
Yes, that sounds like a reasonable guess for me. Where also you get to choose. Do you just want 3 vigor tokens?
Also, I feel like we would have.
But that seems pretty good.
That seems really good, actually.
That seems really good. Wait a second.
This is why we're not game designers, and I hate speculation. But also, I feel like we don't have that.
Make 3 mites also pretty good.
I feel like we don't have that because I feel like it would have been spoiled with the other 2. I feel that 100%.
Potentially.
LSS
so we
know how to be dynamic and dramatic.
So we have 2 spoilers in this coming up this weekend in San Francisco, and then we have 2 spoilers the next weekend in Valencia.
Where's Valencia?
I wouldn't be surprised if we got a Betsy one and maybe a KO one.
I actually kind of hope we don't get any more visits.
Yeah, because we don't need one for Kasai, and we don't need one for Reinar.
I really feel like expansion slots should just be for the heroes who need them, and KO doesn't need it.
No, Kasai doesn't need it.
Dude, I kind of felt
Reinar
that way with
actually some really good buffs.
Kano last set. I was like, Kano doesn't need it.
Sure, I mean
it's a cool UPF card, but like. He didn't need it.
Yeah, like it didn't change anything.
But it is
another blue
cool.
0 for 1.
I'm glad they made that. Thank you, LSS. That is awesome. But Valencia is in Spain. I guess we'll see the Sunflower Samurais in full force, hopefully. Mm-hmm. Now that we know, there was like a soft meme where they were like, it's Pablo Pintor and his friends, but now we're like, oh, he's just elevated everyone else around him. They're all pretty good now. Now that we've seen another samurai in top 8. What was his name?
Daniel Correas.
That sounds right. Yep. Actually, I feel like I've heard that name before too.
So yes, he's. I think he won Spanish Nats the year Pablo got second.
Oh, that's really good. Oh my goodness.
I mean, yeah. If I think I'm not 100% on that. So I'm looking it up because I was curious about the Olympia stuff.
Yes.
Taylor specifically has the text, each equipment in your starting inventory must have a different name.
So that's a Taylor specific thing.
That is tied to Taylor specifically.
Oh.
So Olympia gets to just run 3 Prize Galeas. So he gets to block 2.
3 Parry Blades.
It makes 2 gold. He also gets to run Parry Blades. I think that's the actual thing.
That one's cool. I don't know if that one's good, but that one's cool.
I think it's good.
You think it's good?
I think it's good.
Oh, you think it's good? I'm going to reread
Olympia is not super go again based. He's going to be very wager based. And like just getting 2 value off your weapon is fine.
It's so conditional, right? So you have 3 entire cards in your deck for if your opponent runs a weapon.
That's the question. That becomes the question of how many extra cards do you run?
I mean, you have heroes like you're gonna have Enigma, you're gonna have Prism, you're gonna have
our auras with ward weapons.
They are weapons. Oh my gosh, never mind. Okay. I think that's most of what I wanted to talk about other than Battle Hardens. Was there anything else Mystic related you wanted to talk about?
Nothing, I guess, Mistveil related at the moment. I want to see more, man.
Last time we talked about the meta, we said there's no tier 1 hero. There's no tier 0 hero. Which I feel like we can still say is true.
I think so.
Yeah. So I've also seen Viserai go up on the boards. Obviously, Dory went up on the boards. My question is, or my hot take is, there's no bad heroes right now? Like you specifically, okay, there was that graph at one point, right? So everyone was making tier lists. One person made a meme tier list where they said the top tier was viable and it was half the heroes. And then there was like 5 slots and then it said not viable and it was the other half of the heroes. Yeah. If I made another meme tier list like that, how stupid does it sound if I put everyone in viable?
Betsy.
I've actually heard some people who are like, I'm considering Betsy over Bravo and Victor in my PQs.
Who?
People on Twitter.
I
don't want to out them. Because now I feel bad that I said it.
Yeah.
So it's like, I mean, okay, so Bravo has his specializations. Victor has his game plan. Betsy has her hat, which is good.
Yeah, so Betsy has a little value engine that she's got,
which is cool. I think it's actually really neat. Especially if you get it off over the course of a game. Yeah, like churn through it a few times.
If you can roll through it like 4 or 5 times, it's a lot of value. It is. Yeah. But like getting overpower is not dominate.
+1 is better than dominate. I still under the effect of I got off of it for a bit when I had enough people tell me no. I'm still on this. I'm back on the horse of +1 overpower is better than dominate. Overpower
is
dominating against some heroes.
This is slightly context dependent because Betsy is not using this generally for crush. She's using it for on hit.
True.
Which means you end up in roughly the same situation between them. So, okay, I think the two hero abilities are, without any other context, I guess, are like without the context of what the on hits are, they're roughly the same.
Yeah.
Because Crush is going with the Dominate generally, whereas on hit for Wager is going with the Overpower. I still think that Bravo's specs are just better.
Lucas, you got to back me up here. I didn't give out that one, Chief. All right.
I Overpower is still just so far from being Dominate. I think the thing that actually makes a difference for Betsy is that her stuff is on hit and not Crush. The issue, though, is her on hits are not disruptive.
That is true. For a deck that
raw value.
I mean, it's not like a super high value deck or a deck that's like going way over the top like Fire Katsu does on like a big turn.
It's still Guardian numbers.
Yeah, it's still Guardian numbers. And so what you want to do, kind of like what Azuri's doing right now, is just dragging people down to their level, and Betsy doesn't do that. So okay, so maybe Betsy isn't in the viable tier because there's better options. What else is in the not viable tier? Lucas, chime in on that. If every hero, the premise was, you know, there was a joke of
is this an even wider meta than it was before? Now
is this like super wide meta now? Because there was a joke where it was like half the heroes were in viable tier, 4 tiers below them, unviable tier, the other half. But is like almost all of them in the viable tier now?
I think Teklo is still going to struggle. He has to hit a very particular meta.
Yeah, but he has matchups that are just auto wins, right? Like
yes,
he has
a
very
lot more that are very
matchups.
significant losses.
I guess that's true.
So his auto loss of Dromai is gone.
True.
Yes.
Yeah. That was a big one.
He does beat up on the Guardians very well.
And people like Guardians.
Especially Betsy. Actually, not as much Betsy, because all of his equipment is still actions.
Oh, true. Overpower and +1.
Yeah. I think Betsy and Teklo are still struggling a bit. I think Dio struggles a little bit.
That's true. That's probably true.
If people have reps into Dio, she's going to struggle. Most of the Dio builds right now are not able to chew through a fridge. Warrior does pretty well against a Dio who doesn't have enough equipment hate.
Yep.
So Dio's down there, but I would say a step above Betsy and Teklo. Betsy's probably at the bottom, Teklo another step up, and Dio above that. Olympia, until he gets his card, is also down there, where it's just play Dory.
Yeah.
His text is blank.
For now.
He gets very tanky with Golden Anvil, though. Arachne is kind of a real deck without Dromai around.
Yeah. Arachne's like not bad.
He's fine. He's not crazy. He's not going to do anything nuts and blow you out. He'll just fatigue the shit out of you if you're not careful.
Yeah, we have a Arachne local, and they're like, he's coming. Like it's here. He's coming. I've seen a couple of people online who are like, you know, the X hero or Arachne. They're genuinely taking Arachne to pro quests, and with the intention to win, not just to win on my favorite deck.
Yeah, because like he has an all right KO matchup. He does fine against the Guardians, not great.
Actually, that's like his big Achilles heel.
Guardian.
Yeah.
His Prism matchup probably isn't great, but it's fine.
It's probably just because like bad, right?
It's probably bad. It gets weird if he just like randomly gets to bottom all of your power cards and you just never see an Arclight Sentinel.
Well, I feel like,
that being said, he doesn't have enough poppers to really stop you. So
like he's probably running
bad warrior
6 to 9 poppers.
I think he just ends up as bad warrior. Probably. Riptide also gets a decent bump up with Dromai gone.
Yeah.
But still has bad matchups. But he might be in like the Teklo tier.
Guardian hurdle.
Yeah. His Victor matchup is probably really bad.
Probably awful. Yeah, I think it's neat how Guardians kind of play a bit of like noob stomp, where they're just like, you have to be this tall to enter. So there's a couple of heroes that like maybe you're not being fully serious if you're taking them to your pro quest, but like.
So here's the list of heroes that I think are like pretty reasonable to take to a PQ. Azalea, Bravo, I'd say OG Dash reasonably if you have some experience on it and you're not just going to get like hard fatigued. Your Victor matchup is still fine. Your Guardian matchups are fine. Your issue is Brute. Dory, obviously good right now. Fi is actually a little bit down the list because you'd rather just play Katsu. Kano, Kasai, Katsu, KO, Leviah, Max.
Better last set. What is it? It's not standing order. Tenacity?
Yes,
it's like
that is very good.
I think it's so good because it's like, okay, for your big pop off turn, do you do Salt the Wound because they decided to ignore you, or do you do Tenacity? You have both sides of the.
Do you have Tenacity in hand and you fetch Salt the Wound early, and you get them to block a bunch,
and then you play it anyways,
and then you play. You play them both, and you still get.
Yeah, that's true. It's so good, both dude. Of it. Yeah, I think Fi's not bad.
Fi is fine. He's not great, but he's not Betsy. Yeah. He's probably better than Dio, I'd say.
I think a way I want to look at it. His
Victor matchup is bad.
I think a way I want to look at it is which heroes, and the list will be shorter if you say the knots, I guess, but which heroes are not winning a pro quest?
Teklo, Betsy, Dio.
I feel like Dio could win one.
Olympia, like Dio maybe, but like if you just hit one person who knows how to play against Dio and can fatigue you, like you just lose. If you have one off draw in top 8 where you just draw like double tone max V, and your hand does absolutely nothing and you lose half your gas out of your deck, like
I guess
if you're just not finding boom grenades off the top, like you're just.
So is it 3 heroes?
Olympia.
Oh, 4.
Like Olympia, you should just be playing Kasai, or you should just be playing Dory.
I feel like a really strong warrior player could take a Olympia to win a pro quest.
Yeah, but they just do it easier on Dory.
I guess that's true. Yeah, then I guess those players would not be bringing Olympia unless it's like they already won one and now they're doing one for fun. Yes. They accidentally win it. Yeah. So is it 4?
I think there's only 4.
And how big is the roster?
Fully on my list, 28. So it is 24.
Yeah.
Because that has Mistveil Heroes and Dromai still on it.
Well, that's,
So 24, and 20 of them are heroes you shouldn't be surprised to see at X1 records going into the lesser. That's insane.
That's massive.
That's insane.
So there brings up a problem. I don't want to like dive into this too much, but there was a thing that people threw around early in Flesh and Blood at one point where it was like, what happens when all the numbers are fairly even across the entire board?
Yeah.
Does the game get stagnant because all the numbers kind of make sense? Or is the best deck the most synergistic deck where it's like this deck pulls value out of nowhere? And that's unfair to compare to everyone else because of how much synergy is built into it.
Yeah, like, is it a Starvo deck, which is an absolute fucking pile when you look at it, and then it still pulls out 3-card 13s or Crippling Crushes for 13 with Dominate?
Yeah.
Like, but in reality, it's got Blue Winter's Bite, Blink, and Evergreen.
Is there a problem if every deck is viable? Is there a problem with 20 of 24 decks being viable?
Not necessarily, because there's still degrees. Like there's still like Vincent and Viserai are still towards the bottom, but like you can take them to a PQ and do fine. But like you're not the best numbers deck, you're not quite the best aggro deck, but like some people, you get some equity because people don't know what your deck does or what the capabilities are.
It's so crazy to think about because like when I played Pokemon, there was 4 decks. There was the deck, the number 1 deck.
Yes.
the Achilles heel to that deck, which was a dog water deck, but it would just
into everything else.
And no, like it was genuinely like when everyone was playing like the fancy massive mega cards or whatever, this deck's playing regular cards that take a long time to set up, and they have regular powers that basically just say if you're playing the best deck, it doesn't function correctly. Right? Yeah. It would specifically be like, if it's this card doesn't work, right? So it's the silver bullet in the form of a deck. So you have the best deck, the silver bullet deck, and then you have you get an entire 2 options of decks that beat the silver bullet deck.
Yeah.
And then just lose to the best deck. Maybe win against it 1 in 10 games.
Yeah.
And so seeing that meta, which was like arguably 3 decks, but
it's a triangle.
It was a triangle, but one of the corners had literally 2 decks, and the other 2 had literally 1 deck apiece. And then also there's Magic, where I've been a part of events where it's like there's 6 to 8 decks in this entire tournament, and they're like, that's pretty reasonable. 8 decks, that's a reasonable amount. And then we're sitting at like what 90% of decks you can play. You can just play these decks.
Closer to like 85, but yeah.
Yeah, like 80% of decks you can just play.
I will say this is because Dromai's gone.
Is Enigma gonna just nip it all in the bud, or like when people figure out how to play Prism?
I mean, so far, like Prism is the thing that's actually going to keep it, because I don't know exactly what Prism's Arachne matchup looks like, how good or bad it is. I don't know Prism's Riptide matchup, because that could also be really bad, because he's got little 1 damage pings to blow up all your.
I have heard about that. It's really interesting. Riptide, the silver bullet of Prism.
Vincent still kind of fucks up Prism. That's not a great matchup. Viserai is a pretty hard matchup for Prism, because Rune Chants still trigger on Spectra, so you can't just do that. Like, Prism has enough stuff against her that like it's probably fine, but like she might just kick Guardian out of the meta completely.
That's so crazy to think about.
Like,
and then with Guardian out of the meta, it might make these other decks even rise up even further. Right?
Yeah, so well, it's like if there's no Guardian in the meta, like Brute suddenly gets way weaker, which is good for Prism. Weird.
So it just, even more so than ever, even though everyone's always said this was a thing, even more so than ever, it is just, you got to know the meta going in. Like, you got to know what people want to be playing. That is very important.
And it can change. This is going to change week to week for the next 2 months.
Until Mistveil comes out.
Yeah, and then Mistveil is going to come out, and we have 2 weeks until frickin' Nats.
Gonna have to.
There's 2 weeks.
Figure it out
until we have to draft Mistveil.
Just
from release.
You just gotta draft it, dude. You just gotta practice. You know who's gonna be ready for that? Yuki.
Runaways.
I
mean, also, yeah, Yuki.
Runaways and those crazy Canadians. They're gonna do so many drafts. It's not even going to be funny. They're going to be fully prepared, and anybody who says that the draft is this way or that way, they're going to be like, "No, you're wrong. You didn't do the math right. You didn't draft as much as us. You should have listened to Brian."
Yuki might show up at Canadian Nats and 6-0 it.
She might show up to US Nats and 100% the calling.
Not get to play US Nats, yeah.
Well, no, show up to the calling and win the calling, like she did,
like she did last year.
Yeah, like she did last year. You know. Well, I guess she did that. The calling was just CC, right?
Yeah.
Yes, it wasn't even draft. She just showed everybody. She's like, "This isn't even my final form. You Americans are nothing."
No, she was like, "I've been playing Lexi forever. I'm just gonna kill you." Oh, that's
also true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, Yuki comes down, beats us up at the calling, and then we had Tarek win our second nationals because first he won our first. He moved to Canada, not from Canada. Okay.
Yes.
I'm not a historian.
I almost am.
Yeah, you're the historian. You're the trivia master historian.
Yeah.
Frick. I need to do another one of those game shows. I have an idea. Which if I didn't write it down, I need to go ahead and write it down. But
yeah.
I think I'm gonna wrap it up. Anything else you want to talk about?
I don't think so at the moment. I think that's kind of about it. This meta is going to be crazy. Good luck predicting anything. You're probably going to be wrong at most people.
Just like how everyone was speculating on Chi, and then like
nobody got it.
There's one person who like guessed like 17 different things, and one of them happened to be right, and it's like, well, yeah. At that point, but still. All right, well, thank you so much for watching. We will have webcam UPF on Monday. This Saturday, I was thinking about maybe Friday, but I think I'm gonna stick to my guns on Saturday. This Saturday, a new high production video.
Yeah.
Which we didn't talk about. We were going to talk about briefly. Maybe I'll talk about it after I wrap this up. Thank you so much for watching Webcam UPF Monday. Bye. Bye.